Hello, my friends, and welcome back to Learning Torah Lishma. The Heilige Rebbe from Lakewood brought down a Moedik Torah this past Shabbos by the Tish, and the question was, what? Right? Hashem says, shilach lecha nashim, says to Moshe Rabbeinu, if you want, you could send them a raglim, but that's for you. It's nothing to do with what I want. And, the way Bechir works, which free will works, is that you could do something that Hashem really doesn't want to happen. And I'm sure Moshe Rabbeinu didn't want to send them, but Klal Yisrael was pushing him to send them. So the free will of Klal Yisrael, that's what they want, so that's what he did. Hashem, to a certain extent, since Moshe Rabbeinu let it happen, said, Shlach lecha, send for yourself, meaning, I don't know exactly how Moshe Rabbeinu sent it if Hashem doesn't want it, but it would seem to me that in and of itself is a big question, but it would seem to me that the answer is that just like Hashem lets people know what he wants, but you could decide not to do that, so to Moshe Rabbeinu, as a leader, not every mistake that the congregation's going to make, do you stop them? You have to educate them many times and let them go with it and then see the mistake, and then they learn to be smarter and to respect the leader more. So, this is what Moshe Rabbeinu, it seems like they were pushing very hard, and this is what Moshe Rabbeinu thought, that even though Hashem doesn't want it, but he didn't say it's asur, it's forbidden, it's you could do it physically if you want. It's not a isser, so therefore it can go, and if Klal Yisrael is pushing extremely hard, then Moshe Rabbeinu let it through, and we know what happened. All the men that were over the age of 20 did not go into Eretz Yisrael. So, except Shevet Levi, Kalev ben Yefuneh, and Yeshua was part of, and Yeshua ben Nun, who was part of Shevet Levi. So that's that. That's that. I believe it was part of Shevet Levi. I remember what the Medrash says. The Medrash says he would go to learn. No, I'm not sure. It could be he was working, but he would still, it was part of a different Shevet. I'm just not remembering right now. What does it say? I don't remember at the moment, but I don't remember which Shevet he's from. So, because there's a Medrash that talks about how he would go to learn by Shevet Levi. It could be it says even though he was working, Mitzrayim will make them, it was like the Holocaust, make them work until, the point of death. So, and then Yeshua ben Nun would then go to learn, even though that happened. I believe that's what the Medrash says, or does it talk about him going there? I believe that's what it said there. So then he would be from one of the other Shvatim. Trying to remember which one I don't remember at the moment. So but getting back to what we're saying, this at the end happened, that the Meraglim went, and except for Yeshua ben Nun and Kalev ben Yefuneh, from the 12 Meraglim, 10 went off, They went off the D, the deep end, right? So, the question is, what went wrong? Why is this a question? Because we find that Yeshua ben Nun, right, he takes over Moshe Rabbeinu, and he's the one that crosses the Yarden splits, and the Aron flies to the middle of the Yarden. The Yarden splits. Klal Yisrael goes through, and then the Aron, as when Klal Yisrael goes to the other side, the Aron then flies from the half point of the Yarden to the land, and the water collapses in. That's what happens. So Yeshua ben Nun takes them in, and what does it say there? That Yeshua ben Nun sent Meraglim. Isn't that a pretty big mistake? And that's what Moshe Rabbeinu did, and look what happened. But he does. And not only didn't they sin, but they actually were very positive. And Hashem wanted this. So it doesn't make any sense. By Moshe Rabbeinu, no. By Yeshua, yes. And if you by Yeshua, yes, then that must be by Moshe Rabbeinu also, yes. So what was the issue? And I think the words... So the Skolena Rebbe brought down that he says, Shlach lecha. If he's saying, if you're going to send someone, send for yourself someone like you that has humility. This was the Skolena Rebbe's Yesod, that when the people were pushing, and that you could see is coming from lack of emunah in Hashem. You know, when Yeshua ben Nun says we need to send a Meraglim, the leader is suggesting that, is saying that we need to do something. That's different than when the people are saying it. When the people are saying it, that's because in this scenario they were pushing. The young people ran in front of the old people, says Rashi. So this showed that it wasn't that you do things b'derech hateva in a seichel way, in a balanced way, but it was that people were afraid. They were like, could Hashem do this? That was the issue. So there's a good chance that by Moshe Rabbeinu they also would have sent Meraglim, but Moshe Rabbeinu would have initiated it. But it seems that these people, they jumped the boat. You know, they jumped before Moshe Rabbeinu said anything. And Hashem says, the people used to send this shilach lecha, those people that you were thinking of sending, the plan that you wanted, but Klal Yisrael was pushing this other plan and these other people. And when the person who has the idea is lacking emunah in Hashem, then it just causes that the people that get picked are people that have a lack in emunah in Hashem. And that's what happened. But by Yeshua, the Yeshua is saying it because Hashem gives a bracha. Hashem says something's going to happen, but you have to be balanced. You have to do things with derech hateva. So he wasn't questioning that they wouldn't succeed, but he was doing things b'derech hateva, the way Hashem does things. Hashem says this needs to happen, but miracles don't just happen. It goes through a filter of teva, of the natural order of things. The same thing Yeshua was doing, but he didn't question that Hashem couldn't do it, which the Meraglim by Moshe Rabbeinu, people that were coming did, as we see. They disrespected the elders. They ran in front of them. They thought they were the Rashka Bahag, and they didn't respect the Zakenim. And that's the story. So this is a very important lesson. So again, the idea is Hashem is saying, Shlach lecha, send for you, meaning if you're sending people, that's what you would send, people filled with humility, not these other big guys that they're lacking in the midah of humility, in the attribute of humility, they're lacking, then yes, then send. But if it's these others, then it's not going to turn out good. But the people forced Moshe Rabbeinu's hand, and as a leader, you can't can't always stop bad decisions. You have to many times let it go through, and hope that the end result isn't too bad, because most people, they only learn, you know, from it going wrong. Unfortunately, smart people, they learn from other people's scenarios. They learn before. It's very rare that things like this happen, but most people are not smart, and this is what happens. So this is, big lesson: humility, to be a leader, to do for the nation, for Klal Yisrael, whatever nation you come from. You need to have humility. Sometimes I see these people, they have so much gaiva. I feel like they have so much arrogance and ego. I'm like, it looks like it never ends. Their ego, a simple person's ego could be more about someone stealing his money, making fun of him, things like that. And the righteous person might think that they're above this, or even a smart person might think they're above this. But when you attack them in the higher level areas, let's say you take a tzaddik and and you say, well, you're not going to be the Rosh Hashiva, you're not going to be the Rebbe, we're thinking of putting someone else in, you're not going to be the Chacham. All of a sudden they could turn into a monster. And then you get to see, is this person a real Bal Midas? Is he a real Bal Midas? It doesn't mean that you have to, there's a way people could do things in a respectful way. And you don't just have to let everybody just do whatever they want, get away with things. And especially when let's say a Rebbe has a few sons, so really, each one has a right to it. You learn to do things respectfully. And what happens, I want to be the Rosh Hashiva, the father died and he lives over, Panovich, the split, they don't talk to each other. Brothers, this is what brothers do, this is what family does. These are not tzaddikim. These are not, unfortunately. They might know a lot of Torah. They're like the AI. They're like Google. Okay, they're like Grok. They have a good AI. Tzaddik. The difference between a tzaddik and someone that's not yet a tzaddik is his midas. Remember, the Nesiim, let's say the Shivim Zekanim, they're picked because of their character. And when there's a lack in character, that's when many issues happen. We have to know people who really have emunah, real servants of Hashem, don't alienate family because of a building, because of a position. They don't do that. It's not what they do. It's not their thing. They live with emunah. Of course, you could try to show, you don't have to degrade anybody. You could try to say, if I'm Rebbe, this is what I'll do, and this and that, and show why they should pick you. Same thing for a Sheshiva, same thing for a Rav, whatever position it is, whatever, there's a respectful way, and you could say, this is what I could help out the community with. This is what I could give to you. I'm going to try my utmost very best, and I see you have these issues, and this is what we could do. And, and then the people decide which one they want. You understand? But to create family feud, to stop talking to each other, to hurt each other, to degrade each other, that person He might be Grok, he might be Google, but that's not a Talmud Chacham. It's not a tzaddik. Right? What do we say? Marabim Shalom, that tzaddikim, they're Marabim Shalom. They cause peace. Righteous people cause peace. And if you throw everything away when it comes to when your father dies and now you have the chance to be Rebbe and you throw away or everything just to, you go into complete machlokes, not talking, extreme modes of just low-level way of acting. This shows that the whole thing was a fake. The whole time you were faking with the Kiddush cup, with the shaking, with the boo, the whole thing was a fake. The whole thing was a lie. You weren't serving Hashem. You were serving yourself. You made yourself into a getchka. You wanted yourself to sit on the chair. You wanted yourself to control people. You wanted yourself, even if you have good ideas, Kedusha ideas, holiness ideas. But Hashem doesn't want you to make machlokes in your family. Now, if they're doing it to you, that's not your fault. If you do things in a proper way, and they come at you and disconnect, they act in this ugly way. You don't have to you could still say, this is what I'm going to do for the community. Don't speak bad about them and just talk about why they should pick you. You understand? In a respectful way, and don't degrade someone else. And if they don't pick you, they're a fool. And if they don't pick you, why do you need fools like that? Open up your own chasidus. Open up your own Rosh Yeshiva building, your own yeshiva. Open up your own shul. And you get quality people. Who needs a bunch of stupid people? You don't need stupid people. We need people that are going to go out in the world and make a difference. Cause a good in the world. A good force. People that are Baalei Machlokes. There are people that are born that they're now we're going to a new level. There are a category of people that they're born with machlokes. You have to know that no matter how much Torah you learn, if you don't learn how to take control of it and only use it in the proper places where it's supposed to be used, you can never be a tzaddik. If you just love making every machlokes everywhere, you can never be a tzaddik. You have to learn how to control that. Use that against the apikarsim and the minim. To learn how to use it, how to control it. You need find a good Rebbe to teach you. And if you're older, don't sit and get into covered. How could I go? How could I have someone teach me? I'm everything. I'm on top of the world. Who could teach me anything? No, you humble yourself. You'll learn how to become a real human being. Humility. We take the lesson of the Meraglim, the Moshe Rabbeinu, that Hashem was telling Moshe Rabbeinu, that we learn from this whole thing. Moshe Rabbeinu couldn't do what he wanted. They weren't listening. They decided to pick and do the way they wanted it. But we have to remember what Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu. The Sklena Rebbe says, Shlach lecha. Shilach lecha. If you're sending for yourself what you think Moshe Rabbeinu is good, then you should send them. But if it's what they're thinking, it's not usher to do, but it's not going to turn out good. And fortunately, Moshe Rabbeinu's hand was forced, that, as we explained before. And we have to know, one of the biggest attributes that a person needs to learn, as soon as the mind is able to understand, and that's an individual, and parents and Rebbeim and Moras, when they're teaching children, one of the most important things to teach a child is humility. Humility. To be humble. to understand that you're here to serve the world, not to think that you're on top of the world. I love you, and Hashem loves you more.